Very good morning to my dear students and welcome to our social science class. So in our previous class we talked about the administration, we talked about the warfare for wealth, how rulers fought among themselves, and we also came to know about the word known as tripartite struggle, right, which happened between the three parties. So today we are going to start with the new topic, that is a closer look, the Chola. So here we'll come to know about the Chola kingdom, how they rose into power, right? So do you want to listen to the story of how Cholas rose to power? So something like it happened. Let us see. A minor chief family known as the Muttayar held power in the Kaveri Delta. So so you can see here I have given a map, although it's not visible properly, but in Kaveri Delta, this minor chief known as the Muttayar, they held the power over the delta. They were subordinate to the Pallavas king of Kanchipuram. So Muttayar Muttarayars were the subordinate, which we know which were also known as Samantas. They were the subordinate or the Samantas to the Pallavas king of Kanchipuram, right? So Vijayalaya, who belonged to the ancient chiefly family of the Cholas from Udaipur, captured the delta from the Muttarayar in the middle of the 9th century. So there was a powerful chief in the Udaipur from Chola dynasty, known as Vijayalaya. What he did, he captured a delta from the Muttayar in the middle of the 19th century, right? He built the town of Thanjavur and a temple for goddess Nishum Bhasudani there. So as he got the power, as he conquered the area of Muttayar, he built a temple of goddess Nishum Bhasudani in the area known as Thanjavur. So the successor of Vijayalaya conquered neighboring regions and the kingdoms grew in size and power. So this is how Cholas rise in power. At the first attempt, when Vijayalaya conquered the delta, which was ruled by Muttayar. After that, after Vijayalaya death, his successors, they actually conquered the neighboring regions, and this is how the Chola empire grew into size and power. You can see here I have given a map where the Pandyas and the Pallavas territory to the south and north were made part of this kingdom. So what happened, the Chola kingdom made the part like Pallavas and Pandyas as their kingdom. They started ruling over Pallavas and Pandyas, and they made these two particular kingdom as their part. This is how Cholas rose into power. Rajaraja I, considered the most powerful Chola ruler. You will write and you will underline in your book if you have with you. So, or you will write in your copy. Take a note in your copy while you go for this video. So, Rajaraja I, considered as the most powerful ruler of Chola. He became king in 1985 and expanded control over most of these areas, right? He also recognized the administration of the empire. He actually reorganized whatever the previous rules and regulations were there. He again reorganized the administration of the empire. So Rajaraja's son Rajendra I continued his policies and even raided the Ganga Valley. You can see here, this is how Ganga Valley was raided by Rajaraja's son Rajendra I. Sri Lanka and countries of Southeast Asia developing a navy for this expedition. So basically all these areas were being raided by Rajaraja's son Rajendra I, and he also developed a navy for exploring the area around there and now. Okay. So after that we have next topic of splendid temples and bronze sculpture. So in the previous topic we came to know how Chola kingdom rose its power after Vijalaya, who conquered Delta. Soon after that, what happened, even his successor started ruling Pallavas and Pandya kingdom, and they made them the part of their kingdom, the Chola kingdom. And one of the famous ruler of Chola kingdom, Rajaraja I, he also reorganized administration, and his son, he ruled over many places of Southeast Asia, then Ganga and Sri Lanka. And also what happened, he developed a navy for moving from one place to another or for exploring with that money. So the big temples of next we have the next topic, splendid temples and bronze sculptures. So here we'll know how many temples and how temples were being built, who built the temples, and about the sculptures, right? So the big temples of Thanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram, built by Rajaraja and Rajendra, are architectural and sculptural marvels. You can see here I have given a picture of the temple which was built by Rajaraja and Rajendra. Alright. And Chola temples often became the nuclei of the settlement which grew around them. These were centers of craft production. So temples were also the centers of craft production. It's not only about worshipping God, but also it was a area where production were taking place. There were craft artisans, there were craft person who were actually making their handicrafts, and also artists were paintings were being done there, and there was a production house out there, right? So temples were also endowed with land by rulers as well as by others. So whatever in whatever area the temples were being made, everything was gifted by the rulers and also by the rich wealthy people. So the produce of this land went to maintain all the specialists who work at the temple and very often live near it. So whatever the produce has been made from this particular land known as where Chola temple was built, so whatever the income source was being made from this land, everyone had got some of the other share who lived nearby the places. And also in temples many occasions were being held, like priest, garland makers, these are the craft persons, and cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, everyone live in the area near the temple. So in other words, temple were not only place of worship, they were also hub of economic, social and cultural life as well. So when we hear about temple, we only think about worshipping God or deities were there maybe, but no, in that era temples were not only for worshipping, but also they were the hub of economic, social and cultural life, because we came to know that garland makers, then cooks, sweepers, magicians, dancer, etc. live in that area, and they were craft person who were doing craft, who they were artisans who were doing various art and craft in and out of the temple area. So among the crafts associated with temples, the making of bronze images was the most distinctive. So even the crafts were famous or popular, but making of bronze statues were very important and very distinctive features of the temple. Now Chola bronze images are considered among the finest in the world. While most images were of deities, sometimes images were made of devotees as well. So in the Chola dynasty, it's very famous for the deities of which were made of bronze. Even sometime even devotees were also made, the sculpture of devotees were also made with bronze, right? So these are the few infrastructure, or we can say temples, which were built, and also about the bronze deities or images were developed in that era. Okay, so we will wind up today's class. Thank you, have a nice day, and God bless you.